Paul! Okay? Come on. Get police!
Every day, across Britain, hundreds of raids take place in secret.
Some of the places we do go, their life choice is to be a criminal.
Filmed over 1 year, this series has gained exclusive access to some of the best raids teams in the UK. Catching crooks, red-handed.
They have to be prepared for whatever they find on the other side of those doors.
Got it.
Drugs, money, firearms.
Seizing illegal contraband.
It's just a sickening amount of wealth.
It's about strategy, surprise, getting results, and putting the criminals behind bars.
If you choose to live your life in this way, we will identify you and we will prosecute you.
Strike.
Counterfeiting and fake goods is a major problem. Temptation will always be there for these counterfeiters. There's a lot of money to be made in this.
The worldwide trade in counterfeit goods is worth billions. In Birmingham, it's the job of trading standards officers to stop fake products from reaching the streets.
Consumers may think they're getting a bargain, but they're not. At the end of the day, they're actually being ripped off.
Tariq Mohammed is on his way to investigate some suspect packages that have been intercepted by customs officers.
We've received a call from colleagues in relation to some consignments that they've detained in the East Midlands airport area.
More air freight passes through East Midlands Airport than anywhere else outside of London.
Hi, Tariq. Good to see you. How are you? Yeah.
What you got for us then?
Football shirts, around about 160 in each box. Right. Sunglasses, some bags.
Yeah.
Let's have a look.
Really? You get people selling these as original items. People could be paying thousands of pounds, hundreds of pounds for these, not realising that they're fake. So people can get duped.
This illicit trade funds organised crime groups connected to, child exploitation. It's connected to modern-day slavery. It's connected to human trafficking.
But what they've seized here is just a fraction of the fake goods coming into the UK. It's morning, and Birmingham trading standards are gathered on the outskirts of the city. Today's target is the next link in the supply chain.
Phil, are you receiving over?
This is a bit I most sort of look forward to, is actually, executing the warrants and, putting the door in and finding counterfeit goods and hopefully get a few bodies locked up.
With backup from the police, they're on their way to raid a shop suspected of selling dodgy goods.
Is there anything in there?
People involved in counterfeiting will often try to secure their premises as strongly as possible. There's been cases where people have put live wires on sort of door handles and all that to prevent any sort of law enforcement agencies going through. So we don't know what to expect. Doors are actually heavily secured, which gives us an indication what's behind those doors.
There's a flat above the shop. The team might be able to get in that way. with a bit of brute force.
Right, okay.
They're in, but it's a dead end. There's no way through to the shop. The only way in is via the main shuttered door.
Hello, sir. We're from Trading Standards.
Tarek tries to get a key from the trader in the shop next door.
Right, they're selling illegal clothing, yeah?
Yeah.
Right, unless you get the key here in 5 minutes, we're going to break into that.
Give me some time.
No, you got 5 minutes. First he said he's got the key, and now he's turned around and said, oh, I haven't got the key, I'll try ringing the owner. Hello?
Eventually, they get the shop owner on the phone.
You're on your way? How long are you going to be? They're already breaking in, mate. All right.
It's a tense moment for Tarek
They've gone in.
as he races to see whether his intel has led to a big find.
Fantastic. Good hit, though, guys. Good hit.
They're in, and immediately it's clear the effort to get inside has paid off.
It's set up like a proper shop. You know, it's basically just making a fool out of us, thinking that, you know, they could set up premises like this and we're not going to do anything about it.
A lot of manpower work has gone in executing this warrant, and to find a result like this, you know, a shop full of counterfeit goods, it's absolutely a fantastic feeling.
Is there anything in the boxes?
We need to preserve the evidence, have a look at the documentation, look at the evidence on the boxes. We need to find out who's imported the goods. We are interested in who's actually running this illicit business, but we need to find out who the Mr. Big is as well, who's funding this, who's behind this illicit trade.
Actually, we've got some good intel from the boxes. We've got a couple of names of people and some addresses as well. Obviously, we've got sort of adverts as well, what they were, links to the website address that we're looking at. Whilst we've got a load of stuff, the intel that's come out of it is absolutely brilliant, so yeah, it's a good little hit.
It's an Aladdin's cave of designer copycats. Experts from the big fashion labels help identify the fakes.
The brand representatives will actually examine the goods and give us a statement at the end of the day to say that the goods are fake, and it's that evidence that we'll use to build a case to take the perpetrators to court.
The team bag and tag the fake items.
Cannot tell you how much pressure I was under. You can see the result was really fruitful, so at the end of the day I'm quite happy with this.
Any clues as to who's selling the goods will be investigated. The premises is no longer trading. Coming up, police in Newport use extreme tactics to take down a suspected drug dealer.
We get to see these people when it all comes crumbling down.
We'll get in there. Definitely going to get in there.
And the raid team closes in on a Mr. Big of Britain's counterfeit epidemic.
They're actually producing stuff here, putting the fake trademarks on the trainers here.
Strike.
On the front line with police in the fight against drugs. Officers are preparing to raid the home of a suspected drug dealer on their patch.
Intelligence will suggest there is a male there in his early 20s who is dealing Class A drugs from the address. There's quite a lot of intelligence to suggest this from a number of different sources. So the subject of our warrant today will be this male.
The target for this operation is believed to be at the street-level end of the supply chain, dealing directly to the users. Removing him, and others like him, is a big part of the job. It's 6 a.m. and Stephen Jones briefs the team who will be going after the suspected dealer.
Okay, we're here this morning, Misuse of Drugs Act warrant. It's going to be a dynamic entry using the chainsaw. search, arrest, and we'll go from there. My role is the OIC, the officer in charge. It's my responsibility to make sure everything runs smoothly, everybody knows what they're doing, when we do it and how we do it.
The team is made up of specialist method of entry officers.
Our role is to gain entry, and it's to gain entry as fast as we possibly can, secure the occupants, make sure that there's no interfering with any evidence. We'll go to a lot of planning and preparations to make sure that we get it right and to make sure that we keep everyone safe. Are there pets at the address? What previous calls have we had to the address? Are there any children there? If there are children, are they of school age? We'll look at absolutely everything. We'll then carry out our own recce's of the premises, and obviously they will need to be done discreetly, and we will look at what is the front door. Are we talking about a wooden door that we could hit with an enforcer, or do we need more sophisticated means? Do we need to look at hydraulics? Do we need to look at your power tools? Do we need to look at rescue saws and chainsaws and disc cutters?
The raids teams are ready to go. Officers have already been deployed to keep watch. As it's a high-risk operation, an ambulance crew is also with them.
Channel 116, they're talking about it now. The rear bedroom, there's a TV on, so it may be a case that he's awake. Right. Not changing anything? No. As long as the letterbox check's fine, then
And then it's time to switch on. It's time for everyone to start thinking about what they're likely to face, their own roles, their own responsibilities, because you don't want to be the person that gets anything wrong.
Go ahead.
Mate, is there any chance one of you could just call strike as you're going in? Only because if we're right behind the house now, there's a chance that he could spot us, so we pull out of the way. But as soon as you call strike, we'll quickly go there and then just catch him if he does throw anything out the window, mate, that's all.
Yeah, of course, mate, we're just leaving now. As soon as that door is hit, I'll give you a shout.
There is that feeling of adrenaline. You will get that, and I think that's important. It helps you to focus, it helps you to prepare. It lets you know that you're likely to face something that's potentially going to be dangerous.
Right, so what we're going to do is see the house on right there. We're going to pull up along there. On the side, yeah. Yeah, so right up onto the pavement there. Yeah, that'll do.
When we arrive at a location, then usually there's complete silence, where everyone will get out and form up and then move up to the address.
As dawn breaks, the raids team take up their position close to the target.
We're looking to get our own eyes on the address. Is it a car on a drive that is not meant to be there? Are there lights on at the address? Right up to, is the door unlocked? All building up to actually using force. When we're faced with secure doors that are likely to cause us an issue, the chainsaw is a fantastic piece of kit, and we can gain entry within 10-12 seconds. It's a high-end tactic. It is risky. If that goes wrong, we're probably looking at catastrophic bleeds, and that's why we tend to take specialist paramedics, heart teams with us. Everyone has got a role to do. You could be hands on a chainsaw, you could be the safety officer, you could be the person that actually shouts breach and confirms that the door has actually gone in.
An Another day, another raid for Tariq Mohammed from Trading Standards.
Information has come in to suggest that this target is having counterfeit goods delivered to this storage unit, and then every sort of towards the end of the week, what they do is start loading their vehicles up, getting ready to go to the markets. Our target is basically one of the main key players in supplying counterfeit goods across the UK.
They're hoping to intercept tens of thousands of pounds worth of goods.
If we end up getting loads of items seized, it's going to send shockwaves through the trade.
This time the target isn't a shop, but a whole warehouse. Security's tight. Smashing the doors won't work. So they plan to bring in a new weapon.
What we're going to do now is going to get a forklift truck. We're trying to get the forks through the shutters, so see if they can push the shutters up in order for us to get in. We'll get in there. Definitely going to get in there. There's boxes in there. Watch yourself, Mark. Highfield we're in. Miles has got into the unit.
They've previously raided the importers and the sellers. Now they're going after the big suppliers.
Well, shall we get in, take some photographs?
The warehouse is full of counterfeit goods, many boxed and ready to be taken to market.
In the immortal words, we need a bigger van.
But in the middle of all the fakes, there's another discovery.
So basically what you got is like a machine here that actually puts the logos on. So they put the blank trainers on there, switch it on, get the heat resistant on there, stamp it on. So it's actually, they're actually producing stuff here, putting the fake trademarks on the trainers here.
That takes it to the next level. They're actually manufacturing, which is a serious offence. Got the Trademarks Act, which carries up to 10 years imprisonment or unlimited fine. You even got Fraud Act as well, because actually at the end of the day what they're doing is fraudulent.
The team have found a major counterfeit supplier, and not just that, they've also intercepted the manufacturing of the fakes. And crucially, they found some good clues as to the fraudsters' identities.
Leaving names and addresses on boxes, hiding the unit under, your own name. It's absolutely damaging for them. And you can't even argue he thought they were genuine products, because he's actually putting the trademarks on the items here. So, fantastic piece of evidence. We know who's hiring this unit, so we'll be knocking his door one early morning and questioning him about, what he's doing with all these counterfeit goods. Can't wait for his explanation.
Tariq and his team load up the vans with the fake gear. They continue to investigate the criminals behind the illegal production. Police officers are after a suspected Class A drug dealer on their patch. Based on intel, their target is a local man who is known to the police. Arriving under cover of darkness, they move in.
Right, calm down. Police warrant, stay where you are. You're going to be handcuffed, okay? Calm down. Okay, this is a police warrant issued by the courts. We're all going to be detained for the purpose of the warrant, okay?
We go through the door, we don't want to give them an inch. We want to get in there as quickly, as aggressively as we can and dominate them.
No funny business, mate.
They're going to be fairly hardened criminals and they're scared. I've had persons still sleeping in bed, and I've managed to actually pull the covers back, and they've opened their eyes as I'm putting handcuffs on. Once the person is handcuffed, detained, that's when everything calms down, and we can say it's safe. We get to see these people when it all comes crumbling down.
The reason why we've come in as we have is because Class A drugs. Sometimes if we knock the door, people will say, yeah, I'm coming now, love, I'll be there in 2 minutes. They don't open the door, and then you can hear the toilet flushing, and it's gone. So we've learned from that mistake many times over the years. There appears to be at this time a large amount of Class A and Class B drugs, which is what the intel suggested. Once he's been cautioned and the explanation for why we're there has been given to him, it's always a relief when a searching officer comes down and says, yes, there's drugs here. Once you know there's drugs there, you feel justified that you've taken somebody's door off. You're satisfied then you've taken that drug dealer from that community, and there's a fair chance that he's going to go to prison. So we're just going to go through this with you quickly. All down here is what we've seized. A bag containing several snap bags of white powder, okay, mobile phone, set of weighing scales, a Tupperware box containing traces of white powder, cash, list of names and telephone numbers, a receipt for £550, a pair of Gucci shoes, and a pair of Valentino shoes, okay? When the intelligence comes in, it's based on threat, risk and harm, and if there's somebody dealing drugs, especially Class A drugs, then there's always somebody then who's going to be at risk.
The investigation into the man suspected of dealing Class A drugs is ongoing. For now, it's back to patrolling the streets for Stephen.
You do the job to make a difference. You know, you want to make a difference to these communities. You want to do the right thing. So you see it as you're giving something back. You know, you want to make a difference to this community. You want them to have a nicer life. So, yeah, it's a good feeling. It makes you feel good.
Still to come.
Okay. Yeah, I got it, pal. Let's go.
That side's gone out. The rest of it stayed on.
Hunting the illegal power supplies and pulling the plug on the dangerous energy thieves.
Don't try to go too close because they are live.
I received some intelligence in relation to a blue vehicle.
And police in Newport raid a car they suspect is on the way to a drugs deal. Will they get there in time?
Do you want to stop it?
Yeah, put a stop in.
We'll go put a stop in.
Strike.
I don't think people understand and realise just how dangerous things can be. You do sometimes have to go to drastic lengths to make them understand. British Gas, come to check the electric meter, please. What we have there is an illegal meter. It shouldn't be there. It's breaking the law. As far as we're concerned, we're there to do a job. We do it well, and we do it right. Somebody has tampered illegally with that gas meter.
Matthew Godridge and Damien Hornby are enforcers for British Gas, tracking down the energy thieves, cheating the system out of £400 million a year.
I enjoy the chase, the cat and mouse, the people who are stealing gas, stealing electricity, they're always one step ahead. And we have to work that little bit harder to try and catch them out. It'll be reported to the police. There's a lot of energy going through this place. He's not paying for it. He's made it dangerous. Their life choice is to be a criminal. They choose that path. If you don't let us in, we'll have to pick that door. If you obstruct us, you could be arrested for breach of the peace. At some point, there's going to be consequences for that.
Today on their hit list, a small supermarket which has aroused suspicion.
This one's a electricity previously disconnected by British Gas. We've had a refused access to a meter reader as well, and there's been electricity seen in use. We've got a warrant here to inspect the electric meter and fittings, so we're going to need access today.
It's just wires everywhere. There's wires everywhere. It's bare copper. Yeah, it's a bit of a mess. It's a bit of a mess.
They've reconnected the supply illegally. So what they've done is they've got a meter from somewhere and got somebody in to reconnect all the supply, which obviously then is feeding the shop. Worryingly, those brass-coloured screws and fittings you can see there, try not to go too close to them because they are live. Not only is it illegal, it's obviously really, really dangerous at the moment as well. So we're going to ring an engineer now, get them out and make safe. Somebody, don't know who, had gone back into that property, reconnected the electricity supply without British Gas's authorisation, and therefore the property was open and trading using electricity. All the electricity that has been passing through there has been unbilled and stolen effectively.
This is the main supply, and they've just put another one in next door to try and throw us off the scent. And it looks quite dangerous. You see, it's not wired up correctly. It's just definitely not safe. They're both connected to each other, so they're both going to have to come out to prevent illegally reconnecting again.
But when the time comes to pull out the plug, there's an unexpected shock in store.
It's gone off over there. We pulled the fuse on the illegal reconnected meter, but I think only maybe a fifth of the shop went off.
That side's gone out. The rest of it stayed on. There's another supply coming in from somewhere. So it's just made it a little bit more complicated, I think.
The team do some more investigating. But then, things get even stranger. When suddenly, the rest of the lights go off.
Trying to find out how that's happened. Looking for a separate consumer unit now. Plot thickens a little bit. Excuse me.
Yes?
How has the power gone off in that side of the shop now? We turned this side off, but somebody has turned that side off now. And the only people that's been in here is you and the other lady. Now, we haven't turned this shop, the main shop, off.
Yeah.
Who has done that?
I don't know who there was only two of us.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Powiedz, że wyłączałyśmy zamrażarki tylko.
We just turned off the freezer.
Tracking the cables and the wiring, Damien and Matt try to find the second secret power source.
Got it! Demo! Found it! We got it, Dame. Okay. Yeah, I got it, pal. Let's go.
There it is. We've got illegal supply coming in from the street into this cutout, which is then feeding the rest of the shop.
And that's where the power's coming from. Inside the shop, there must be a switch somewhere which they can just switch on and off. They made us work for our money.
Yeah. No electrician worth his salt would wire up something like that. Ridiculously dangerous, so that'll all be coming out.
To do it once is bad enough. To do it twice in the same property is just crazy. There's exposed copper, which is live. Surprising there hasn't been any fires. Our number one priority is safety. Joe public who go in there and shop, or friends, family who visit, relatives in properties, they don't realise the aspects that they're putting all those people in danger.
Engineers arrive to cut off the illegal supply and to stop the shop from bypassing the meter again.
Well, they've dug up the road, cut the cable in half, put it in a resin. It's what they call pot ending it, so they can't illegally reconnect it. So it's completely safe now.
It seems like an extreme measure, but ultimately sometimes it's the only way of making people understand just how dangerous and stupid it is by stealing or by tampering with their gas and electricity supplies.
The shop won't be reconnected until they sort out the bill for the illegal power.
They've made an offer to pay something like £2,000 or £3,000 of. I think the final balance was about £40,000 for the stolen energy and charges. So they've made an offer which has been rejected. In this type of scenario, full payment is required now before we will look to reconnect the supply.
That's their life choice. That's how they choose to live their life. There's not a lot of people I know that could live with tens of thousands of pounds of debt hanging over their head. That debt has to be paid.
Predominantly tonight it's going to be the street dealers. They are the ones that are going to be out in force.
Back on the beat, Stephen Jones and his team are on shift in Newport. They deal with the everyday consequences of drug use.
We come into contact with drug users on a daily basis, and it's absolutely harrowing, the conditions they live in, the conditions of their lives. It's an awful situation for them to be in, and for the people that are around them.
Stephen's unit are responsible for policing some of the most deprived estates in South Wales.
Like on the grass.
But we know where the flat is?
Yeah.
Is it by there, is there?
Yeah.
And they use ones?
Yeah.
Okay.
Today's shift has just started, and Stephen and his colleague, Joanne Willervise, are approached by two young girls.
How nice is it? Yeah. They found some syringes down by the garage.
There's about 5 empty syringes in there. Like that.
I think it is getting worse. The drugs seem more accessible to the younger generation. And it's quite worrying because some of these kids are extremely young, extremely vulnerable, and very, very innocent. We get a lot of community intelligence, and they will tell us where the dealing's going on. This is another area at the moment which is a bit of a hot spot for us down here.
Oh, yeah. As you can see, those 3 are riding off a bit quick down there.
Right, who's this guy in the front? Hey, Matt, you all right? Yeah. So, who are they?
My mates.
Your mates, are they? They cycle off pretty quickly? Yeah. As we drove in, there were 3 boys on bikes, and they were speaking to somebody in a taxi. I believe the passenger in the taxi was dealing to the 3 boys. Okay, I think you've either dealt or you've bought drugs.
No, I was going to buy a bag of weed then to go in, but you seen me on the road off.
Oh, okay, all right.
They've disturbed a drugs deal in daylight involving kids.
Misuse of drugs act, I'm considered for drugs. All right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But
So I'm going to put these on you.
can I hurry up because I'm on tag mode?
Yeah, that's fine. You step out for me. Right, anything you've got now?
Right, there's my
Yeah,
money.
that was you was going to buy weed with that, were you? We're going to put that on the seat in there.
Okay.
Okay. It was quite clear that the 3 boys on bikes were the dealers on this occasion. One will have the drugs phone, and he will be making the calls and receiving the calls where to take the drugs. Another one of the boys on the bikes will have the cash, and the 3rd boy will have the drugs. So if you catch only one of them, you've only got part of the evidence, part of the case. So you need to be catching all 3. And on this occasion, we didn't get them.
Are you on tag mode, dude?
They let the man in the taxi go.
Okay, we're done?
Yeah, done. Let's go.
It's not the buyers these officers are looking for.
You get a lot of intel to say the big dealer on the estate, he won't keep drugs in his house, he won't be seen with drugs, but he will be using kids as young as 12, 13, 14 to peddle the drugs for him. A lot of the people we deal with, perhaps their education is not brilliant. They haven't got a fantastic outlook in relation to employment. And when somebody offers them a couple of £100 a week at the age of 14 or 15, and when they're on these estates which are deprived, they're going to bite their hand off and take it.
It's later in the shift, and Stephen and Joanne have a lead to follow up. They've been told a man with previous convictions is back on the streets, selling drugs.
I received some intelligence in relation to a blue vehicle. The owner of the vehicle will leave his address at 11 o'clock p.m. and from there then he will go out and he will deal drugs.
An unmarked police car has the suspect vehicle under surveillance.
We'll be in the vicinity. If the car moves, they'll call us. We'll put in a stop and we'll see what he's got on board.
They don't have to wait long.
We enjoy that side of it. That's the adrenaline. He's left the address. We know where he's going because we've been fed that information from our colleagues.
Yeah, it's parking up on the left, so we'll drive up.
Do you want to stop it?
Yeah. Yeah, put a stop in.
We're going to put a stop in. Is this him? Yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me, mate.
Yes, yes.
Just stop there for a second. Who lives here?
My son's mother.
Your son's mother, your
Yeah, my
ex-wife.
yeah.
Okay. All right, have a chat with my colleague.
You okay?
Yeah.
Right. Intel will suggest at the moment you might be dealing a bit of drugs.
Oh, yeah, chip me if you want.
All right.
Yeah.
It's there, it's unfolding in front of you. You know your grounds, you know what responses you've got in relation to the law to this gentleman. And it's just a case of stopping him and seeing what we've got.
But they don't find any drugs. They have no choice but to let him go.
He had nothing on him. So, yeah, he's been let go, he's been let on his way. I think we've hit him too early. I think what we'll do is we'll leave him run now, a couple of days, a couple of weeks, and make him think that we're not interested anymore. We will put that down to a disruption. He, from now on, is always going to be looking over his shoulder. He's going to have to change his routine. It's not a case of losing the war on drugs, it's a case of fighting it. You just keep fighting it, and you win those small battles every day.
Coming up.
We've got 2 unofficial gas meters here. They shouldn't be there.
Following a secret network of dangerous gas pipes linking a Liverpool corner shop to a hotel.
Pressure's far too high and it's, you risk of explosion.
Strike.
Well, there's always that risk of the supply going pop. And if you're going out shopping or you're going to a restaurant, you don't expect to be put into that danger. They don't seem to realise that. All they're thinking about is just saving as much money as they can.
A British Gas, come to check the electric meter, please.
There it is. We've got illegal supply coming in from the street. No electrician worth his salt would wire up something like that.
As far as we're concerned, we're there to do a job. We do it well, and we do it right.
Next up for Matt and Damien is a routine inspection at a shop.
Hey mate, you okay? British Gas, come to check the electric meter, please.
Cheers, my friend, thank you. The electricity's fine. But we've noticed something else. It's this gas pipe. It comes in from the street from here. There's no regulator there to regulate the amount of pressure that's going through that pipe. It's a British Gas site, but there's no meter attached to it. It's not official pipe work that we would use. It looks like work that we've seen previously in the past by somebody who was going around the area tampering with the gas. So we need to find out where that pipe is going.
The team discover a potentially dangerous gas supply.
It's not regulated going through the pipe. Pressure's far too high and you know, you risk of explosion.
They need to find the source, and fast. The pipe goes to the building next door.
That's the hotel. That red steel pipe work comes from the street, under the cellar, and then into this property next door, or behind it, which is a hotel. We've got 2 unofficial gas meters here. They shouldn't be there. We don't know the integrity of those gas meters. We don't know if it's gas safe. We don't know who's done it. So we're going to have to remove these because it's an illegal reconnection. You've got to do a thorough check while you're down there, make sure you've inspected everything correctly and you know, you haven't left any stone unturned, because if you do miss something and something does happen, you know, there's a gas escape, gas explosion or anything like that, you know, the consequences are disastrous. Hey, love, you all right?
Yeah, you?
All right, thank you.
What are you doing?
We're investigating the gas.
Yeah. Well, you'll have to leave.
I only came when...
You're okay to just leave then?
When-
You'll have to
when you
leave though. Yeah. You'll have to leave until we speak to the director.
Our concern is the safety of the gas. We want to make sure it's gas tight, gas safe. We don't want it going pop, do we?
A staff member tells the gas team to leave the premises. Damien calls the hotel manager to explain what they'd found.
Obviously, you've got a hotel, you've got people staying there. Our concern is obviously for the safety of the gas that's going through. We need to make sure that this supply is safe. Obviously, you don't want a gas explosion on your hands, so yeah, definitely.
With a major safety risk, there's no option but to call out engineers and disconnect the gas supply at street level.
Spoke to the landlord. I've let him know what's going on. They have said they are paying for gas, but it's not regulated. It's not with a supplier. It was disconnected last year, so it's an illegal reconnection. We've got to do what we've got to do with the information that we've got.
So we made the decision that, you know, safety was, as I said, paramount, and cut the supply in the street then to avoid them, or to avoid anything happening.
It was a chance discovery, but it might mean avoiding a life-threatening situation.
They've backfilled the supply with foam that goes in the pipe, expands, goes hard, so nobody can illegally reconnect it. So yeah, unfortunately they've got no gas.
The hotel owners deny they're responsible for the illegal connection. They say the meters were there before they took over the lease of the building, and that they were making regular payments to British Gas.
With more police raids new next Wednesday at 9. Tackling law and disorder on the streets of Britain. We're on the front line with bouncers new Monday at 10. And tonight, can you trust your nearest and dearest? Families at war fall out over money in our new series, Robbing Your Relatives. Next.